My name is Hillary Russell. I am one of the partner managers with Jump Software, and we're here today with Doug Gulbrandsen, Dr. Doug, with Marketing and Growth Strategist. So Doug, tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, and you know, you did well pronouncing that last name. That's why I go by Dr. Doug. Most people crucify it. So anyway, yeah, I own Marketing and Growth Strategist, and that's a company where we really go in and work with the small business owners to help them to grow, to learn how to market correctly, and to actually increase their revenue.
Yeah, awesome. And Doug has actually been a huge part with Jump over the last, almost close to a year now.
Yeah,
it's been a little while, but just as a referral partner and really using that throughout the business as well, throughout your business.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I know.
But what really attracts me to Jump is basically some of the things I'm really focusing on right now. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is there's a lot of money that is lost. In fact, kind of the thing I talk about a lot is the fact that the greatest amount of income not earned is income that is lost because you didn't earn it rather than because you blew it somewhere.
Right.
Okay. And with Jump, what's really fascinating is you guys hit some really key areas that most people don't think about. And because they don't think about it, they're losing money. Whereas you guys have some really cool elements, and you work on about 4 or 5 different elements that allow people to have one stop, there you go, and take care of that with the confidence that those things are going to be taken care of. So that's what attracted me to Jump so much.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about Marketing and Growth Strategists, because you're working with so many different types of businesses and industries. So tell us a little bit about that and how you really got started with that.
Well, you know, as Dr. Doug, I was a dentist, mm-hmm. and I sold my practice back in 1996, and then went back to business school with a very specific focus to work with small businesses. And so I started doing that, moved here in 2010, and have enjoyed being here and really looking and realizing that the small business owners really don't have someone to help them at a price point that works well for them.
Sure. With
the expertise that they need. But I'm reminded of an experience that I actually had with a client back in Sacramento, healthcare professional, and he called me one day and was looking for some help because he was telling me he had gone from 65 new patients a month down to 45.
Oh, wow.
And by the time this had happened, when we did a little bit of an analysis on that, it was actually a year that started to occur.
Oh.
And as I looked at that, I realized, you know what, there were just 2 elements that if he had been paying attention to, that would have never happened. But you don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
And in that particular case, that was it. So we got back together, we started working on it, we increased him back up to 65 new patients, and that continued on for him. But then one day I was thinking, I wonder what that cost him, just not to pay attention to that one area. And by the time I figured it out with what each patient was worth, and if they were to have referred one patient to him each, he lost over close to $500,000
oh, wow.
in income just that 1 year, because he wasn't paying attention to some things. So
that's crazy.
As I've looked at that, and as I've looked at the various businesses around, what I recognize is most small business owners have not gone to school.
Sure.
I mean, it's just like when I went into dental school. I had no business experience. I had to hire consultants to come in and help me, right? Because I knew I was not business savvy. Mm-hmm. And that's the case with most business owners. They have a great talent. They have a great ability to do whatever they're doing. But when it comes to actually owning a business and running a business, it's a different story. And what I'm finding is that there are basically about 5 main areas that if they pay attention, they're actually going to increase their revenue dramatically. And if they don't pay attention, they're going to lose thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, you have worked, like you mentioned, with that business as an example, but just helping to provide that clarity and, reach those milestones that they're trying to accomplish.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And different industries.
Mm-hmm.
What's really cool about the model that I use is that it's not industry dependent, because
Sure.
there are basic technological processes that you apply whether or not you're selling houses, or whether you're selling roof repair, or whether you're doing printing, or whether you're a doctor, or whatever that happens to be.
That's amazing. In fact, with Jump, one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about it is it literally was built on, the idea of helping small businesses to reach that ROI, or, those lost dollars, like you mentioned, that they otherwise may not be aware of. And there's so much passion behind that because, they're really living out their dream of whatever that may be, whether that's dentistry or, bakery or whatever that might be. And so it's phenomenal to be able to come in and help to, provide that clarity and help them to really elevate the business.
Well, and one of the big challenges with the small business owner is that they're trying to do everything themselves.
Sure.
And so as I'm starting to work with them, one of the key factors is how do you go out and literally help them set up some type of system so that they're able to do what they need to do with a very small group of people that they're working with, whether they're on their own or they have 2, 3, 4, 5 employees. The bottom line is they need some kind of system that will allow them to go in and do what they need to do, or see what they need to see, manage what they need to manage very quickly.
Right.
And so that's the cool thing about Jump, is that you're able to do that. One of the areas that I talk about is organizationally, what kind of key indicators are you using, what kind of statistics are you using, and there's actually a very specific program that we use where they start to look at the graphs of how are they doing.
Yeah.
And so a business owner can look at a graph immediately and go, okay, we're either going this way, we're going this way, or going this way.
Right.
If we're going this way, we're in trouble. If we're going this way, guess what? We're still in trouble. And then there's some formulas to follow and figure it out. But it will take them 5 minutes to go in and look at that and go, okay, I've got to pay some attention to this.
Right.
And they do that every week versus this one client that I had that it took him a year to finally figure out that he was in trouble.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. Well, and exactly like you're mentioning, some of the clients that we've worked collaboratively with through the referrals, we've noticed that you've been able to help them not just work in their business, but take a step back and work on the business and be able to reach that trajectory.
Well, exactly right. And one of the really cool things you have is your review service.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, it takes time for that to work depending on how many reviews you have and so on and so forth. But we've been doing it for a while.
Sure.
And finally, I got a call the other day. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but we got a call the other day from a fellow, and I said, how did you hear from us? Or, how did you hear about us? And he goes, I found you on the internet.
Oh, that's
and I'm
awesome.
Going, really? Well, I know where that came from. That came from Jump and from the review service. So it's really
so
cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really cool to hear. Well, Doug, if there is one thing that you wanted a business owner to know about working with you, or experience working with you, what would that be?
I would say that I come in from an approach of a mentor.
I like that.
I hate the word coach a lot, okay? But rather than that, I come in as a mentor, which means I'm there not only to help him or her to get where they need to be, but also the goal is to teach them so that ultimately I can walk away and they have the skills and the ability. They don't have to go back to business school, but they can actually have the ability to tap into the right type of technology from a business perspective so that they know what they need to do. And then if there's ever a question, they can make a call.
Right.
So I would say that's the key, is I love
Okay.
to be a mentor.
Awesome. I like that. One of the last questions I have for you, if it's more about the ideal type of client, right, that you work with, and I know that's super broad, but what are some of the questions that a lot of your clients are asking when they decide to come to you for help?
Okay, the last client I had
Yeah.
called me. They have grown so fast. In fact, he said, we've probably grown a little bit too fast.
Okay.
And they're experiencing a challenge with the culture and the productivity of their team. And so there's an area, is that when a company is growing so fast and all of a sudden they're seeing a lot of drama
Right.
in the workplace and they're not seeing the productivity they were hoping for, it's really simple to go in. And in this case, we just went in and did a 2.5-hour mastermind and really
wow.
identified what was going on, but we got everyone to come in together and to start to really talk about it. One of the biggest challenges I think for business owners is they think they know it all.
Sure.
Or they have an ego, or whatever, And the challenge with that is sometimes they don't realize that the best information they're ever going to get, the best ideas they're ever going to hear, are from their employees. And so it's a matter of helping them to understand that and work with that. So that's one area. I'd say otherwise, just a small business owner that's not reaching the level that he wants to reach,
Okay.
and wants some help. Most times people will come in and they have a very specific program, and based on that program, they're going to shove it down the throat of the owner, and hopefully it's going to work for them. But every business owner has very specific needs, very different personalities. And so I may go in and work with one. I've got one client that I started working with that initially is like, all right, I need some help with marketing. Well, we've doubled his revenue. It took us about a year to 18 months. We were able to double his revenue, and we've never even touched marketing. Okay, but it was all about processes and procedures and understanding how to delegate and how to hire and those type of things. Whereas someone else, we may go in and work with them, and it's like, okay, I've got a very specific situation I need some help on. And so we sit and we mastermind about that and brainstorm about that and come up with that. So I think the biggest challenge for some is that they get influxed with a very set pattern and a very strict type of program that doesn't work for everybody. So you've got to have the ability to really listen to your client, understand where their needs are, and then develop the program around their needs. And it can be very different.
Well, so glad that you guys could all join us today. Again, I'm Hillary Russell. This is Dr. Doug, and we'll see you next time.